You want to start that again? We have the ability to. Yeah, and you don't have to play it for that long at all. Uh, maybe, let's do, once it does the first part. Hello, good day, and welcome to our New Jersey Family Engagement Hub Lunch and Learn presentation, Back to School, Moving Forward. Yes, we are back. We are back. It is the start of the school year, week 2 into September. My name is Kim Rivers, and I am the training coordinator for our statewide family engagement hub for New Jersey. And we are doing the second in our Lunch and Learn series, Back to School Moving Forward. Today, we are talking about what you are experiencing and giving you some strategies on how you can approach being back to school. And certainly, I invite everyone to pop into the chat and give a little feedback, communicate, let us know who you are and where you are from. And we are talking about, of course, community, the village it takes to support our students in family engagement. That means families, that means educators, that means community-based organizations, that means youth. We are all about helping provide strategies for family engagement. And this is our family engagement team. You can visit our website at njfehub.org and meet our team and see the resources and programs and information that we provide. And a little bit more about what we do. So, the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub, it's a statewide initiative. We are dedicated to strengthening partnerships and collaborations between families, educators, community, and youth. We work under the SPAN Parent Advocacy Network. We provide technical assistance to specific districts as well as statewide. We do these monthly webinars, workshops. We have webinars that are also given by our partners. Please hop on the Eventbrite and see our offerings. They are amazing. And our goal is to empower families to be active partners in their child's education and help everyone develop and implement effective, systemic family engagement practices, because the research shows that good family engagement results in higher student achievement. And of course, we're going to talk about SPAN Parent Advocacy Network. That is a parent center for the state of New Jersey. And SPAN provides information, technical assistance, resources. The mission of SPAN is to empower families and to inform and involve professionals and anyone who is interested in the healthy development and education of children, and help enable them to become fully participating and contributing members of community and society spans over 45 programs, everything from mental health, juvenile justice, childcare, child welfare. We extend to over 40 national, regional, and local programs, and we're funded by government agencies, foundations, and fee for service contracts. So today's workshop offering is about moving forward. And moving forward, meaning that as we come into a new school year, let's think about having a reset button. Let's shift our mindset. Let's take a deep breath and forget the past. Don't worry about what took place last year. Learn from any challenges, any obstacles, and focus on growth and resilience and how we are going to build on strengths, on our students' energy, make sure that they have what they need so there is a smoother and successful school year. And of course, that means using your village, having a team based approach, utilizing your educators and your community, and really tapping into what your students' dreams and goals are because everything happens based upon what they want to do. So we have to encourage our youth to be active participants in their education and make sure that they are communicating their needs so we can give them the support that they require and move forward. And so what does moving forward in action means? Well, first off, know what your options are in terms of resources. Identify them. Don't wait for a problem to arise and then try to figure out who is who at the school. The school year starts. Take time early in the year to learn the roles, the names of the teachers and the principal and the staff. Because at the end of the day, everyone has to communicate with each other, and open communication is key. Know the way in which you need to communicate with each staff person, teachers, principals. Do they prefer emails? Do they like text messaging? Can you call them on their phones? Do you need to call the school itself? You need to communicate and introduce yourself to the teacher so you can start building trust and ensure that you are on the same page when it comes to your child's education. And of course, empowering your student. Encourage your child to ask questions. Encourage them to develop those advocacy skills that we all struggle with, but you got to start somewhere. They have to learn to speak up. They need to learn to communicate their needs. They need to be able to advocate for themselves, and they want and need to be active participants in their educational journey. And of course, that means asking the right questions. Create a list of essential questions that you can use when you meet with your child's teachers. These questions can be designed to really, trigger a dialogue, to uncover any concerns or any issues, and really build a partnership. And certainly, I'm going to plug right now, our webinar that is coming up next month is going to be strategies for parent-teacher conferences. I encourage you to join us on that one because we're really going to delve into what kind of questions you need to discuss with your teachers. Because at the end of the day, if something comes up, you want to know early. You want to be able to nip it in the bud if there's concerns about your child's progress, about their social in the school, in the classroom, whether they're struggling, whether they seem to be falling behind, whether the work is too difficult. You want to be able to identify those issues, communicate your concerns, and start to work to resolve those early in the school year. So let's just go over that back to school checklist, which a lot of these you've probably already handled. But just in case, let's go some reminders. Let's go through it. Paperwork, medical forms. Yes, and we know all of those health forms and medical forms, making sure that you have that checkup done ahead of time because if your kid wants to do volleyball or soccer or football, those health forms need to be in place in order for them to participate in sporting activities. And of course, vaccinations, making sure those are up to date as per the New Jersey state requirements. And that means, you can check in, go to your doctor, make sure that they've all been up to date. And then, if you have a student that has any kind of medical needs, such as asthma, or if they've got seizures or allergies, please know that you can and should be developing an individualized health plan or even an asthma action plan that would be developed by your child's doctor. And the health plan, you can collaborate with the school nurse with a set of steps in the event of an emergency. So that regardless of who is in the nurse's office, regardless of what is happening at school, there is a document in place with steps so that people know what to do in the event something happens. And of course, one of those first five steps better be call the parent because you want to know immediately if your child is having some kind of emergency situation. So that can be put on file in the nurse's office. And certainly that is something that we all need to keep in mind if they have any special medical needs. And of course, in addition, if your child happens to have a 504, those are updated annually. So you want to make sure if you need a doctor's note to update your 504 that you've put that appointment in place so that it's ready for the top of the school year. Likewise, if you have an IEP, make sure that the teachers are aware that your child has an IEP, that the teachers are following it, that the IEP is in compliance. That way, your student has those critical accommodations or modifications that they need in order to access education like everyone else. And then, of course, calendars. You want to go to the school website and make sure that you have the most updated calendar information in place because oftentimes they do reapprovals of the Board of Education, and that calendar will have, of course, all the holidays, but then it'll also have all those teacher professional development days, those half days, any kind of early dismissal, and you want to know the start dates, end dates, winter breaks, Thanksgiving, spring. I gotta tell you, I have been in a situation years and years ago where I look up the next week and the school bus is saying, I will see you in 3 weeks. And they're like, wait, what? What? Don't be me. Make sure that you are aware so that we have jobs. We need to plan our vacations and be able to coordinate any logistical support from families and friends we need to help support our families. So make sure you know what those dates are. Plug them into your calendar. And then contacts. Who's who at the school? I hope everyone knows the names of the principal, the vice principal, the school superintendent of schools. I hope you know at a minimum your class teachers' names. If you've got a kid that's going to different classes, such as high school, knowing all the math and the history and science and so forth. Not only that, lay eyes on them and make sure that they are laying eyes on you. It makes a difference. It makes a difference, as we know, that teachers are aware that, there's a parent that is involved, that is communicating, that is advocating, you know, establish the communication that works well for everyone, just in the event that you need to reach out, and of course, the school nurse. Know who the school nurse is. Know the contact information for the attendance office. Please remember, that if your student is not going to go to school, if they're ill or they've got a doctor appointment or for whatever reason, you need to contact attendance or contact the nurse's office ahead of time, whether it's an email or a voice message, and let them know what is happening. That way, your student's not in danger of attendance issues and won't be marked absent, of course, depending on the school policies. And yes, read the school policies. And then sign-ups. Is your student interested in particular activities, whether it's sports, whether it's clubs, whether it's theater? There are deadlines for every application or criteria or your auditions. Make sure you know when those are happening. And of course, how you're getting information from the school is super important. So each school district has versions of some kind of parent portal or notification system. Get on those. Make sure that you have signed into them so that you are receiving updated information in the event of an emergency, for example, or whether they're calling out because of weather. This is critical for you to know. And then, last but not least, if there are any sign-ups or deadlines for testing dates, such as SAT or ACT, or even the statewide testing. You want to know when that's happening. You want to make sure that your student is prepared for that so that you have planned that ahead of time. Do they need any extra tutoring, etc.? And then if you want to get into the school, remember to volunteer, participate, and show up. That way, you know what is happening hands on with your students' education. And yes, so we're a couple weeks in. And of course, it's a lot. It's a lot as a parent to balance everything. And of course, we want to make sure that we are building our support network. So, as stated, communicating with your teachers, communicating your concerns, asking about progress, asking about any challenges. And then, of course, the school counselors, making sure that you are developing a relationship. Let's say your kid is struggling in a particular class and they may need to change classes or there's a concern happening. You can make an appointment with her advisor. And that way you're getting some feedback and engaging and helping them navigate what could be a difficult situation in terms of academics or even social emotional. But if you intervene early, then maybe it will not turn out to be that way. And of course, if you need to, who are your administrators, right? Know their names of the principal, the vice principal, the school leaders. Know when the board meetings are happening so you can show up. Know when that, be involved in that way. And then, of course, if your student is struggling, if your child is having any kind of academic, behavioral, mental health, please note that someone at this school can help. You can be referred to what's called the INRS team. That stands for Intervention and Referral Services Team. They'll put a plan in place. They will work with you. They can see what they can do to support your student, to help them, to work with maybe some light accommodations, maybe some light tutoring, maybe helping them with the teachers and coordinating. And if they do that and it's still not working, then the intervention will then do a referral. That's INRS. So they do referral to another team, whether it's a 504 team, because a 504 team will do an accommodation plan for your student. Or they can refer to the child study team, where they can evaluate your child to see if they meet the eligibility for special education services and get an IEP. All of these are options. All of these are available. So make sure that you understand what your steps are in the event that your child needs help. And now let's talk about community, because we're all about community. And certainly there are resources that you can tap into. And first off, let's talk about the before care and after care programs that can be in the school building, right? So some schools have before care and after school programs that are available, right? Sometimes they even have extracurricular activities such as sports or clubs that happen after school, or some tutoring programs after school that actually can serve as aftercare programs. And of course, for families that are working a full day and need to have your child involved in something so you can pick them up at a later time and not 2:30 or 3 o'clock, then those actually do serve as a really great support and fill the gap of that need. But even outside of the school, there's also options like the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club. There are community resources that are located in your family's success centers or your local rec centers. Do a little research, find out what options are available. Because remember, when we're looking at our children, it's not just the academics. We're looking at the whole child. We're looking at giving them the ability to do sports or socialize. Maybe when they're at school, it's difficult to really talk as much because they're doing the academics and they're focusing in class. So having these extracurricular is giving them the opportunity to get physically healthy because they're doing a lot of outside exercise or doing art or just talking, just engaging, just developing their social skills, which are critical. And another place that people often overlook is that public library. Oh, yeah. The public library is an incredible space. It offers so many free resources, not just books. They have tutoring services. They host workshops. They provide access to online databases and academic tools that can be a huge help for your students if they have projects or if they have to do research. So please, please make sure that you are tapping into all of the available options in your local community, because they provide a powerful support system that can help your child thrive academically, socially, emotionally, and physically. And now let's talk about something that we all struggle with: time management. Mhm. And of course, time management, it's a skill. Learning how to schedule is a tough thing, but it involves practice. And the more that we practice good time management, the better we get at it. Even just having a simple daily or weekly schedule that we put up, and everyone's different, right? Some people have that really great calendar that they put on their fridges. Some have the smart boards, those white easels. Some use a blackboard at home. Other people prefer the digital calendars that you get, that you put in your phone or you have in your computer. Whatever it is, make sure that you have a calendar that you are using consistently, and help your student learn how to utilize a calendar so they can manage their workload, manage their schoolwork, manage their activities, track their deadlines for their homework, deadlines for projects, prepare for those big tests. It is critical. And of course, everyone struggles at times with even those executive functioning skills, so that they, focusing on studying. Sometimes we have to help our kids learn how to learn. And it's an odd thing, but there are some strategies that are out there. For example, there's a Pomodoro method, where you can focus for 20 to 25 minutes and then take a 5 minute break and then focus again. And sometimes that can break things up. Kids need breaks, and we all know that. So, making sure that they know that if they are fatigued mentally or emotionally, then that's a sign of your brain telling you take a rest and take a short break and then go back to it so you can be renewed and so you can focus. And of course, if your child is struggling, encourage them to talk with you. Encourage them to ask for help. That's a skill I think even as adults we're still struggling with. Asking is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is often a sign of strength because we know what our limitations are, right? So encourage them to ask the teacher or encourage them to talk with you. And of course, that means as parents, we need to be open in our receiving of communications from our kids. We need to focus with big ears when they're talking, give all of our energy, not multitasking, not be on the phone, not doing something while they're talking with us. Give them our full energy so that they know that you're listening, and then repeat what they said back to them so they get that verbal confirmation as well. And, one thing that we can also consider doing at home is organizing their learning spaces in a way that will support their learning. Um, you know, what we call the command center, kind of support their ability to focus because, setting up your room, the environment that you're in, it's critical. You walk into a classroom at school, the same way that they've got stations set up, that it's organized, we can do that at home as well. We can really try to designate a spot in the home where your student knows this is where I sit and this is where I can do my schoolwork. Doesn't matter what your setup is, create a desk, use a table, even if it's a corner of the kitchen, it's their bedroom, it's a part of the living room, even if it's a specific chair. You want to develop it a routine that your child knows that they come home, they settle down, they change their clothes, they get a snack, and then they take their homework out. That table is set up. It's got the pencils, the paper, it's got the natural light, and there's little noise, and they know, okay, now I can adjust my brain and focus. Make sure it's clutter-free environment. Make sure you've taken away any distractions, no television, no phone calls, no video games, so they can really direct their brain and energy to their task at hand, right? And so, you know, as a parent, ask them what they need. What do they need? Do they need staplers? Do they need that really essential math calculator? Do they need index cards? Have that set up. Have that available so they're comfortable and they can come to that space every day knowing and create that habit. Because, of course, learning sometimes needs to be a habit, right? Um, and then, of course, even the organization of what they're doing for their work, and of course, a lot of schools now are utilizing computers, but let's say they're in the younger grades, they tend to have those folders, those binders. Do you need to do color coding? Do you need to make sure that they have enough papers, their printer available, or do you need to find out where the local staples or the libraries where you may able to get printouts done, right? That way, your child is equipped with all of the tools in their space, in their physical space, so they can learn. And for digital, let me tell you, for us adults, it's been a learning curve. But for these kids, they really are able to navigate that space better. But even so, organizing your work digitally is important. Learning how to put things into files, learning where to put places where you have, for instance, homework, whether you have your first draft, your final draft, your assignments, so that they are able to organize themselves and tie it to the calendar. And maybe even if they have to create PowerPoints, yes, kids do a lot of those these days. So give them the tools they need, even if you have to go take a course online so that you as a parent can support them, or they as a child can learn the skills they need in order to support and organize their learning. So back to time management. Um, and yeah, I think a lot of us parents are guilty of this, that extracurricular. And there needs to be a balancing act. Because some parents, like, for example, my husband, he is a programmer, meaning that he has a tendency to identify all of the free space in our child's calendar and then want to fill it. And it's well intentioned, because and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Keeping our kids active, keeping them engaged, keeping them busy is important. It exercises the brain, it gives them all the physical, etc., etc. However, even though it's tempting to want for your child to do everything, it is important that we are thoughtful about how much we are putting on their plate, because we want to help them to still feel supported. You want to prioritize their mental health, their emotional health, and certainly that means getting their input, making sure that you're asking your student, what are your interests? What do you really want to do? Yes, I know signing your kid up for volleyball because, there's this really great program where they can go to 4 days a week and once on the weekend, and even go on tours and do team volleyball. It's wonderful and it's fantastic, and they're getting a skill. But is that balanced for them? Is it working for their schedule? Make sure that whatever you schedule for your child is not taking away from the time that they need to focus on their homework, time that they need to focus on their friends. In fact, let's move on to the math of a day. Because if we think about it, you got 24 hours in a day. Your kids should ideally have about 7 to 8 hours sleep. Some need more. And then when you take 7, you then have at least 7 hours of school. You got to count sometimes traveling to school, getting ready to go to school. So that's 8, that's 15 hours, which leaves about 9 to 10 hours available for everything else. And remember, everything else is getting ready, getting clean, dressed, uh, making food or eating food. It's doing the homework. And of course, these days, schools are giving more and more homework. So the higher the grade you go, the more homework gets piled on. I mean, I remember my oldest was having 5, 6 hours, 7 hours of homework a night. So we have to be mindful about how much our students can handle. And of course, they have to do the work, they have to do the reading, they have to do projects, which means that if you're going to get them involved in an extracurricular activity, they need a little balance, because there are also things that are important to them, things that help them feel rested, renewed. That means sometimes hanging out with their friends, reading a book, taking a nap, spending family time with their parents, and just maybe just long sessions of hugs and talks, and that way we can find out what's happening with them at school. So be mindful of the math of a day. because it's just so many hours available. And we really need to be thoughtful about that balance and also understanding what their limits are. Because every kid is different. So know your child, know their limits, identify their needs, balance their wants and their interests, and of course, keep your eye on their dreams. So, where are we right now? Well, we're two weeks into the start of the school year. And of course, this first few weeks of the school year, this is when we find out a lot of things. We figure out what's working. We figure out what's not working. And we want to, of course, as stated before, make sure that we're communicating with your child and asking those specific and open-ended questions, such as, how was your day? How are you doing? How are you feeling? What happened at school today? Are you okay? And it's not just the responses that we need to listen for, but sometimes we need to also make sure that we're reading their body language. Sometimes a kid may not share when they're struggling, but you can see it in their eyes, or their shoulders tensing up, or they seem to be closed off, or they seem to be sleeping more than usual or hiding. Be mindful. Look at your kid. Make sure you're really asking questions. Ask about progress with the school. Utilize the tools available, whether it's Power School, whether it's going in and looking at their grades, look at the assignments, ask them about their projects. And of course, we have to balance micromanaging, but you know what? We spot problems early, we can address problems early, nip it in the bud, because not every relationship is going to be perfect, but it does take a village, so that we want to problem solve in a healthy way. Make sure that we are being thoughtful, make sure that we are being professional. I always say that you can solve things with honey, right? You can say everything you need to say and communicate everything you need to communicate. It's never the what, it's always the how. And so certainly join us for more of our webinars. Like I said, we're doing effective strategies for parent-teacher conferences next. And all of these are going to be available on our NJFE Hub website. And now I'm going to share a video from one of our newest projects that are joining our Family Engagement Hub. This is START Project. The START Project is the statewide technical assistance and resource team, and they have developed a video for the CPAG, and we're going to share it now. Isn't that a great video? So I got to tell you, that video is created with the special education parent advisory groups in mind. So if you have a student that is special education, you can certainly consider joining your CPAG. However, your school has many different groups that you can and should be joining, such as your parent teacher association or your parent teacher organization, or you can join your class parent groups or volunteer at school. Making sure that you are tapping into these groups gives you the opportunity to find out what is happening at school with school policy, any changes that may take place. It gives you the opportunity to use your voice and to participate and to share ideas or help develop what's happening in your school district. So please, 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 back to using your community, join and participate and advocate. And so, as I said earlier, we have monthly webinars that are happening. Our next one is going to be again all about school. It's going to be effective strategies for parent teacher conferences, and that will be taking place in October, on October the 14th. And then afterwards, we also will be doing, and this is very exciting for us, we'll be doing three-part series given by our newest project member, Stephanie Babbitts. She's coming from the START project, and she is going to be delivering a three-part series on literacy. Three-part series on literacy, Lunch and Learn. It's going to be at 12 o'clock on the third Tuesday of the month, October, November, and December. Part 1 is practice, Part 2 is policy, and Part 3 is partnership. So I encourage you to join us. It's going to be amazing. It's going to help everyone support our kids and help them learn to read more and utilize their literacy skills. So thank you so much for joining us on our wonderful Back to School Moving Forward workshop. Please click on the survey, or take your phone and do the QR and give us feedback. We need those surveys to help us to continue to provide these for you. And of course, you can go on our website at www.njfehub.org and maybe join our advisory group and see what we're doing, because we'll be coming soon to a district near you. Thank you so much.